Hi guys, Squad here. Today I'm going to be looking at the new released Just Trains Railjet Advanced. Now this is a Railjet. Very, very nice. This one's actually a double unit. If you look at it, it goes all the way back down there. There's two units attached to each other. Railjets are very common in Europe, and they're essentially a fixed... They're actually manufactured and fixed together as units. They're sort of economy class, and then first class, and then a buffet, and then all that kind of thing. And basically what happens is they're manufactured in a fixed position, and then the loco is the only thing that's detachable at each end. And they're very common in Europe. They're the fastest electric locomotive in the world. They're very, very modern, very capable, very high speed. And this Railjet Advanced version from Just Trains is, shall we say, you need to read the manual before you even have a go at this. It is kind of OMSI level of detail in terms of setup. You generally start off cold and dark. You can bypass cold and dark completely. If you press Control Shift and Z, it will automatically set the train up for you. But that, to me, kind of defeats the whole purpose of why you would want to drive this loco. It's quite a nice loco to drive. I think I can hear one just coming in here. Yep, here we go. There's one on its way in. It's a very nice loco to drive. Like I say, it's very capable. It accelerates so quickly. It brakes really effectively. It has an integrated dynamic brake on it as well, but you can detach that. You can have a separate loco and train brake if you want to. Look at that. It's pretty cool. But let me take you through a few of the things here. I'm going to go from cold and dark. I'll show you how to set this train up so that if you want to, you can just watch my video instead of reading the manual, which is probably more interesting. Although maybe not. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is when you press the 1 key, this is how you start, and you're thinking, what the heck, is this thing broken? Why am I sat in the middle of the train? And the reason is, you see that? This is actually Loco 1. There are two. There's one on each end, and this is the first one. And this is actually what the train drivers do in real life. They actually have to come to Loco 1, which is in the middle of the train. And the reason for that is that Loco 1 always faces east, bizarrely enough. And Loco 1 is always pretty much in the middle here. And Loco 1 is the only one that contains this bit. When we look at Loco 2 in a second, by the way, if you press the left and right arrow key, if I press the left arrow key, it looks at the fuse box. I'll tell you about that in a second. And if you press the left arrow key again, it then takes you to this panel, which has the battery. And this is where the whole cold and dark thing starts here. So the first thing you need to do is this dial here. This is the battery indicator. You need to slide it to the start position, like that. And it'll say battery on. And if you wait a few seconds, the battery power should come up, assume your battery's not flat. And you can then continue to the next step. There we go. So the battery should read there on 0, which means you've got full power. And what you then need to do is put the pantograph into position 1, which is this position here. 1 here is the front or the back. I'm correct, getting ahead of myself here. 1 and 2 is the position at the front or the back of the loco. We're going to go with position 1 here. It depends where this loco is sitting effectively in the unit, but we want position 1 for this. If you go position 2, it'll have the pantograph on the other end of the loco. I'll talk more about the correct pantograph, the Swiss pantograph, in a second. You actually do that in the system in software. So we put that into position 1. This is the parking brake. I'll come back to that later. And what we need to do now is switch back. What we now do is press Control minus, and that will put us at the front of the train. If you look up now, this says 2. Which is effectively the one at the front. And if we press the left arrow key, you'll see the whole battery thing is missing, which is why we had to come here. Now we're ready to initialize and power up the train, the systems here. As you can see, it is completely cold and dark. So what we first need to do is, this is the reverser here. We need to press the W key and put that into position 0. There you go. That then starts up the award-winning AMI BIOS. Makes that noise here as the system boots up. I couldn't catch whether that was MS-DOS or Windows XP, but who knows. Obviously something reliable, in quotes. There we go. The double beat there means that the system is now booted up, so it can't really be Windows because that was way too quick. Next thing we need to do is we need to, we've waited for the boot, we need to put the reverser all the way. Oh, before I do this, I want to mention something over here. This is the DDI. This is the Diagnostic Driver Interface. Now, this particular loco, because the loco, this is the Taurus 1116. You also get the Taurus 1016. They are slightly different internally. Fundamentally, they're the same, but there are some differences. I'd have to show you the 1016 to show you those differences. But both of these things are designed to travel across Europe. So they're used to the fact that in Austria and in Germany, and certainly in Switzerland, systems are slightly different. Although the rail gauges are the same, certainly in Switzerland, the pantograph, as I mentioned before, is different. So you have to use a different pantograph. But in Germany and Austria, the pantograph's the same, but the signalling systems are slightly different. And what happens is you have to initialize the system and tell it which country you're currently in. Now, this is set to OBB, which is Austria. And if you press the 8 key down here, and then the 6 key, you can basically choose with these arrows. You can go Deutsche Bahn for the German line. And if you're in the 1016, you can choose SBB, which is when you're in Switzerland. We're actually in Austria right now, so OBB is fine. But what you need to do is you need to select the country you're in before you press the key W forward. So if you need to change country, say you're crossing the border, what you'll need to do is put it into, you obviously park it, put the reverser into 0, and then you need to change the country key, and then put the reverser back forward, and then forward again, and that will initialize the system into that country. That's what you have to do. If you don't do that, then everything's just going to go wrong. So having selected the country that we're in, which is OBB, which is Austria, we're now ready to continue. The train does have full safety features, and I'll talk more about those in a minute. But what we're now ready to do is raise the pantograph. Now, you can see down here that we've got a horizontal line, and that means the pantograph is down. What we need to do is we need to push this lever forward here, and you can see the 2 dots have been raised. That means the pantograph's going up, or rather it looks like a face, and when it goes blue again, it means the pantograph is in position. There you go. Now the pantograph's in position, we can now initialize the system by pushing this lever forward. That draws power from the line into the loco and initializes all the voltages. There you go, and you can hear the clunk as all the power came down. Now we're ready. We've got a line through here. We've got power. We've got what is that? 2,100 kilowatt hours of power going on here. Each system, this is a 1,000-volt system, I think. Different countries have slightly different voltages. Again, that's all picked up when you choose the system. But you don't need to worry about that. You just select the country, put these levers forward, and you're good. Alright, we've got the power now. What's next? Now, if I press the left arrow key, we'll go past the fuse panel and over to the main panel here. You can see the battery's now missing because this is the front loco, which is why you need to go to loco 1 in the first place to get the battery going. What we need to do now is adjust the lighting setting, and we need to put it on here for a Railjet. This is 3 front headlights and 2 rear brake lights. We'll come back to this in a second. This is the parking brake. Then there's the train door setting, which is OBB or DB. OBB is obviously Austrian and DB is Deutsche Bahn. So we'll put it on OBB because we're currently in Austria. Press the right arrow key. This brings the fuse box. I can't remember where CFA is, but LZB and PZB is here. So if you don't want to run with PZB, you click that. That will turn PZB off. You may be asking, what's PZB? What's LZB? What's CFA? All this kind of stuff. Briefly, and I will be brief about this, PZB is a monitoring system which is in use across Europe. And effectively what there are is a series of magnets along the floor. The magnets are linked to a switch, and a signal, sorry. And what happens is, as the train passes over, the system on board will pick up what frequency the magnet is currently broadcasting, if you like. And that tells the system something about the signal that you just passed. It could be that that's nice and green, or it can be that there's now a speed restriction in place, or there's about to be a speed restriction in place, or even there's a stop sign. The PZB system will then monitor what you do. So if, for example, you pass a signal that says the next signal is reducing speed down to 85 kilometers per hour, it will display that here, and if you don't press page down to acknowledge the PZB and then take some action, as in reduce your speed, then the PZB will take over and it will initiate the emergency systems, and that's it. It's game over until the train stops, and then you've got to reset the train to get it back going again. You don't want that. Your manager probably doesn't want that, and the passengers don't want that. So either learn to sort of react to the PZB by pressing page down and changing your speed, or just turn it off. Just circuit break it and turn it off, because otherwise, if you don't know what it's doing, it'll be a real pain for you. Kind of same thing with the CIFA system. Now, the CIFA system is a dead man switch. It can be a little bit naggy. It's there as a safety feature, like all of these things. Effectively, the driver has a plate on the floor, which you press with the space key, like that. Every 30 seconds, the CIFA system, if it doesn't detect any change in your controls, will flag up here and make a beep noise. You then press the space key. That acknowledges it. The system goes, "Ah, you're not dead," or "You're still there," kind of thing. I'll carry on. If you don't press the space key within a few seconds, again, it'll initiate the emergency systems because it assumes that you have passed away, passed out, or you're just ignoring it, and you don't want any of those things, so the train will just stop the train. So it's called CIFA, but it's like the dead man switch. You've got to acknowledge it whenever it beeps at you. Again, you can turn it off if you want to circuit break it at the back. There are other things on board this train. Sorry, I'm going to have to explain this because this is quite a detailed train, and I want you to understand, because it's not cheap either, to be fair, but I want you to understand why it's expensive. It's because there is quite a bit in it. The people who built this worked with Railjet, and so this is quite authentic. The doors. When the doors close, normally on a train, when the doors close, they lock themselves. With this thing, it will click at you, and you then have to spin this dial around so it's pointing in the upright position. That then locks the doors. In other words, it's a manual lock. If you don't lock it, you can't set off. So if you hear a weird clicking noise after the door, it'll literally just go click, click, click. You've got to do that. You've got to lock the door yourself, otherwise you can't go anywhere. Lighting. Now, the lighting's pretty good. If you look outside, if we pull this lever here back and then push it forward, you've got a side light, which you always have to operate. Trains in Austria have to have side light, day running lights effectively on at all times. You've then got beams and then 2 stages of main beam. They are very, very bright. Therefore, you know, when you come into a platform, you're supposed to knock this back onto a day running light, because otherwise the passengers get a little bit upset. You've then got these lights here, which if you push forward is the various instrumentation lighting, which you can dial back if you don't want it, or you can put it on whatever setting you want, day or night. This is the cab light. If you pull this back, it will light up the cab pretty spectacularly, I have to say. It's like floodlights in here. And if you push it forward, it gives you a control light, if you like. So at night, you could just have the control light on. You can still see what you're doing, which is pretty important for a driver at night. Let me just apply some brake here, because what I want to do next is I want to spin to the back, and I want to press this, which is if you like, a loco brake. It's an additional brake that the train has when the systems are shut down. It's like putting your handbrake on, think of it that way. So now, because you have to engage these brakes, because if you don't, it'll start to roll a little bit, and you don't want that. So the brakes are engaged. We've got full power. Just want to talk about these numbers here. The PZB has different configurations. This is a high-speed passenger train, so in normal operation, this will show 85. 85 means we're rated for a high-speed train, which is, I can't remember, it might be 150 k's, not sure. But if you want to, you can put the PZB into different modes. If you was on a train that's restricted to 125 or 105, you can press Shift 6 and 7, and it will, there you go. You see top right there, O and U. Normally, you want it to be in O for standard. U is restricted to 105. There's also an M, which doesn't appear to be activating. Anyway, you want O. So normally, 85 will show up here. The reason it's going to do in this oscillating here is because the system has not yet properly... We're not being over a magnet. Think of it that way. We've not driven over a magnet. It's not picked up on a bit of PZB activity. So what it will do is in a current safety system setting where it's limiting you to 40 kilometers per hour. If you exceed 40, then it will initiate emergency brakes. You can, if you want to, bypass that by pressing the end key. That basically initializes PZB properly and says, oh, you're a full speed passenger train, 85 your current limit, the next signal's green, blah blah blah. So you can just press the end key and bypass that. PZB is page down. I'm just trying to get you to remember the shortcuts because you're going to need them. PZB acknowledge is page down, and CIFA acknowledge is the space key. They're the kind of things you're going to need. If you don't want all these systems, just turn them off over here. Just turn off PZB, turn off LZB, all that kind of stuff. That's most of what you need to know. The normal operations of PZB are over here. These are the acknowledgers. That is the engine cooling system, which you probably want to leave in automatic. You can push it forward into extra cooling, or even just turn off the engine cooling, which is not advisable. Final bits and pieces, it does have a working roller blind, as you can see. It's not quite OMSI, it doesn't squeak or make a noise, but it's there. So it has about 3 stages on it. Also, if you press the M key, it will open the mirrors. Not on this particular Railjet, but on the other Taurus, the 1016. What's it called? The trailer version. It has mirrors that activate, that come out, and you can see the driver can see the passengers down the platform with that mirror. And you press the M key, it automatically folds, I think, when you set off, so you don't need to worry about disengaging it. And that's pretty much the control system. Next up is basically getting this Taurus. There's the number, by the way, 1116. Next step is to get this Taurus to actively go forward. Unfortunately, because I've been obviously showing you the control systems, there's no point setting off right now because we'll be completely late for this scenario. So I shall have to restart the scenario and then continue where we're leaving off here, but at a bit of an earlier time than it is right now. Okay, we're now ready to get going. First thing to mention is the throttle has a lock on it. You press the E key like this, and then you press the A key. You have to hold the E key down when you press the A key. That then pushes the throttle forward. If I show you the throttle here, you can see the throttle changing there. When you bring it with D, when you bring it back down to 0, it will sit at 0, and you can free to move it in that range. But when it's on 0, if you press D again, it locks it. And that can catch you out at first. You've then got to hold the E key down to bring it back out of the lock position. That's how it works in real life, and that's how it works in this loco. So be careful about that one, because if you don't, you'll be sitting there wondering you're not moving anywhere and you can't get any throttle going. It's just one of those things you need to know. Anyway, we've now got clearance to go. We've got our signals ahead. So let's release the parking brake. And we should be, TCS, free to go. Now, before I do this, I'm going to press Shift and A, which activates the AFB, which is an automated system, a speed control system. Y and C, if I press Y, bring us up to 40 like that. That sets my limit to 40, but it will only use the throttle power that I've given it. So if I give it a bit more throttle now, what it'll do is it'll speed limit us to 40, but it will accelerate based on what throttle setting we've set. Does that make sense? Because we pressed the end key as well, and we disengaged the CFA, there's the CFA, disengaged the speed limit on the PZB, we're free to go all the way up to our track speed, which is currently 110. Normally at this point we'd be limited to 40, so I'm just going to leave it in 40 just so I can show you what's going on here. You can see it's holding our speed at 40. Now, you're not meant to use this to drive with. It's not like you know, on an aircraft where you just set the speed and let it adjust. You can do that, but when you go down hills, in particular down mountains, you will need to give it additional braking. So you need to be careful of that one. That's the Roadrunner system. I'm going to show you that in a minute. I love Roadrunner. But anyway, let's press the C key and bring the speed up now. We've got a track speed of about 110, so we'll bring it all the way up to like 100. There you go. There's 105. That'll accelerate us all the way up to 105, the current track speed. That's CFA. That's the dead man switch. So you're going to hear me keep pressing that space bar whenever that light comes on there. I'll do it automatically. If you want to use CFA, you're going to have to remember to do it as well. So I do like the AFB system. It does, you know, help greatly to keep your speed under control. What I recommend is you keep your speed just under the limit. Yeah, about 5. Gives you a bit of leeway in case you start going downhill. CFA. So it beeps at you, and then if you don't acknowledge it, you'll get CFA. And that's the safety system. So yeah, just be aware of that one. Obviously I'm talking so you don't hear it. If I shut up for a second, you'll hear it. See that? That's how it works, basically. That's CFA in action. Right, we've now got a track speed of 140, so press the Y key and bring the speed all the way up, like that, to 135. Now, let's talk about the scenario here. We've got to pick up passengers from Dornbirn, arriving at 17:58, departing at 17:59. We're currently due to arrive at 17:54, but that will probably increase because I think the track speed slows down later. So we're ahead of the game at the moment. That's fine. Let's bring that line back a touch. We're ahead of the game at the moment, but that's a good place to be rather than being behind. What else can I tell you about this train? PZB, LZB, it's got Zub. Zub is the Swiss equivalent to the PZB. You don't have to worry too much about the Zub, to be honest, because it's not available on every scenario anyway. And because of the limitations of Train Simulator itself, the engine, there are some issues with the PZB when you come into, what is it, not Lindau, somewhere else. I can't remember where it is, but you have to disengage PZB because otherwise it will confuse the train into braking when it shouldn't. So that's another thing to watch out for. There are limitations of the host, as always. In this case, Train Simulator is the host. You get that kind of thing in flight sims. You get certain, for example, I think it's when you're in shared cockpit, the barometer is not... Like, if you set the barometer as the captain, it doesn't set it for the co-pilot. He has to set it himself. And that's because that value is not carried over across the shared cockpit. And that's due to the host. You know, there are limitations of every host, and this is one of them in this thing. Right, so we are on a route from... where we're going, from Vienna. Now, normally this line runs from Vienna to Lindau. So Vienna in Austria down to Lindau in Germany. We picked it up in Feldkirch. We've got a double car, a double railjet if you like, and we've got to split this at Bregenz. So that's the current plan. Now you see how we're going downhill? So we're picking up speed, but luckily the track limit went up to 150, so I'm going to bring that forward a little touch. I'll also give it a bit more throttle so it's got more power to play with. These locos are, like I said before, very, very capable. They're very powerful. If you was to, you know, in real life, just full throttle this off the platform, you would probably snap the link on the first car. It's that kind of powerful. Very, very capable. Like I say, the fastest electric locos that operate across Europe and the fastest in the world are these things. They are pretty immense. Right, now how far is it to Dornbirn? Where is it over there? 15.93 Ks. Now what I tend to do when I'm wanting to slow down is I tend to use the AFB system to sort of bring the speed back. As long as you're early enough, the AFB, which uses the dynamic braking, will actually slow you down. But it will also, I believe the AFB also uses the train brakes as well. So one of the options you have, if you want to, you can press a key, I can't remember which key it is, but you can separate the loco from the train brake and the dynamic brake, and then this lever here becomes active, so that you can more manually control the braking system if you want to, rather than just relying on the AFB or relying on full brakes. If you just want to use dynamic brake on its own, you can do. One thing about the CFA system as well is, remember, it comes up if it doesn't detect movement in the controls. So if I was to press space key now, even though it hadn't asked me to, it would consider that to be a, oh, you're still alive. So you can press it whenever you like, but you're just forced to press it every 30 seconds. That's kind of the way it works. That reflection, to me, is dodgy. I do wonder if that's real. It looks like a still to me. It doesn't look right. You know what I mean? Because, like, if you look at this, like this here, is that a microphone or something? I don't see that. I mean, there's something here, but I don't see that big silver microphone. Oh, that blind works as well. Cool. That doesn't work, the window. The all-important window doesn't work. Okay, let me increase my speed here. We're about to go up to 160. Let's show you Roadrunner. You've already heard Roadrunner in action. The reason it's called Roadrunner is because of the noise that it makes. And you see we've got 140 coming up, so pretty soon I'm going to have to drop my speed down a touch. What happens is, as you know that E key I told you about there that activates that lock. If you double press that key, and this is as it is in real life, the driver presses that in twice. What happens is it activates the Roadrunner system. I'm just going to bring my speed down to 140 now. There we go. It activates the Roadrunner system, and what that does is the point where you press it, the start of the train is at the point where you press it. It then works out when the back of the train crosses that point, and when that happens, it activates Roadrunner, and you hear the meep meep, which is basically the same sound as Roadrunner used to make. So let's try it down here. Let's wait till we get to this sign here, for example. Watch this. So we're crossing this. I go. So I pressed it twice, press the E key twice, and then you sit back and listen. When the rear of the train passes that point, you'll hear Roadrunner. There you go. How cool is that? I love Roadrunner. It's so cool. What that is useful, because if you're pulling into a short platform, which I think the first platform, Dawn Burn, is pretty tight, you can use it by activating it at the start of the platform, and when the back of the train is just at the edge of the platform, you'll hear the meep meep, and you can then stop. So it is actually a real world useful thing, but I just love it because it's Roadrunner, and that's all I need in my life. I just need Roadrunner in my life. It's absolutely brilliant. Okay, I need to focus a little bit now. We've got 7Ks and counting down. We're doing 135, so unlike some of the other trains like the IC, this thing can stop pretty fast. I mean, if it has to. Certainly, if you ever get the emergency braking system to activate, which I think you probably will at some point while you're learning, you'll realise how quickly this can stop. Now, there is a procedure which you have to go through if the emergency brakes activate. If you hit that switch and do it yourself, it also disengages the pantograph, which will catch you out big time. Just look over here, and if you see that symbol in the down position, you know that the pantograph's down. Normally though, if PZB activates it or CIFA, normally the procedure is to then bring the reverser back into a 0 position, and then reactivate it back again, and then throttle forward. That will get you out of most problems. Also, the loco brake will activate, so you disengage the reverser, deactivate the loco brake, and then reactivate the reverser, and then throttle forward. It will also lock the throttle as well, so you have to unlock that. So they're the things that you need to worry about if the emergency brake kicks off. But the pantograph only comes down if you physically press that button there. Also, it activates the emergency horn on the outside of the train. That is seriously loud. Basically, the way the system works is if you press that, it's deemed that you've just seen something that you're about to hit, so all hell breaks loose. Like the train, just goes into oh my god mode. The horn sounds really loudly on the outside. The train just puts on full brakes. The pantograph comes down. It just braces for impact. It's crazy. Right, we've got a 120 limit coming up, so I'm just going to bring. You can see that I'm just going to bring that down to like 110 or something. Because we are 3Ks away from the platform, so we're pretty close now. One thing to watch for is if you press the number 2 key, it'll actually go to the reverse, the back of the train. And you may think that this is a bug. It's not. Again, due to limitation of the game, they had to put the driver position in position 1. Remember, this is 2. The driver is in position 1, so the train simulator actually thinks we're going the other way. And hence when you go external you get a rear view when you press the 2 key. What you actually have to do is press the 3 key, and then you'll get a forward view like that. Okay, right, I'm going to deactivate the AFB. Throttle right down now to 0. We can just cruise in. You heard AFB. Shift and A will deactivate the AFB. That's also what enables it. And we're just manually cruising in. I'm just going to start to activate some braking now. This is not the platform we're stopping at. We're stopping at Dawn Burn Track 1, which is the next one. Now, again, part of learning a train is getting used to its braking distances. You see the yellow light comes on whenever you're braking. Now, if you like, I can activate Roadrunner. just for a laugh. So we go. There we go. There's Roadrunner. We'll cruise in at 50 k's. It should be roughly the length of this platform. This train is a double length train, and it is roughly the length of this platform, I think. We're actually in a couple of minutes early, which is fantastic because we just bought ourselves some time. So I'm quite happy about that. Okay, release the brakes. Not had Roadrunner yet. There it is. Bang on target. Lovely. Okay, press T to open the doors. There we go. This is the 175-year anniversary skin, which looks pretty nice, I think. It does come with a whole bunch of skins, which you can use. So it's quite, you know, quite a nice little package with a very detailed manual as well. It's definitely got that going for it. So yeah, we just need to wait. We've got a little wait here because we got here early. You can see the position of the 3 headlights here. Now, this thing is equipped with the front and rear pantograph, as you can see. This is the back of the train. We'll have to sort of move forward here to get into the middle. There you go. So this is a standard Railjet here. That bit's fixed all along there. Let me just bring that up in case I missed this. These carriages are fixed, as I mentioned before, and then you have a loco on each end of it. That's a standard Railjet configuration. This is another train that we're basically hauling today. This is nothing to do with us. We're going to separate from that shortly. Okay, almost ready to go. And if you look where that is, it's in the unlocked position. Can you hear the clicking? Doors are shutting. Turn, turn, turn. There we go. Doors are now locked. Okay, hold the E key to release the throttle, release the brakes, wait for the brake pressure to come down, and train starts to move, and off we go. Okay, let's let it build up a little bit of speed. Then I'm going to activate the AFB when we get moving a bit. Don't think we need those lights to be quite so bright. I actually forgot to... Actually, it's not so bright. It's really weird. I don't know what that's from. Okay, AFB. Shift A, if you remember. Speed's currently set to 110, which is the track speed. Should be fine. We're about to hit a 120 limit anyway. So let's give it a bit more juice. To 90% juice, there we go. Right, yeah, we should hit a 120 limit. Safer, that little nagging system. Yes, I'm still alive, I haven't died. Okay, so now we're speeding, which is awesome. Just look at that. We just started speeding just as we crossed the threshold onto 120. So I'm going to put it on 115, and we'll hold it there at 115. That should be good enough for what we're trying to do. Okay, let's have a quick look outside. That's what the train looks like as it's travelling. Not the best horns in the world, but hey, whatever. Inside, that's what it looks like. All nice first-class carriage. Look, you have the display up here, little reading light. It's all very plush. I'm not sure how that's going to work. If you both decide to put your feet up, that's going to get pretty awkward unless you're sat with the person. Okay, we're about to cross over into a 140 zone. Now, when we get to Bregenz, we need to, which isn't far away, we need to open the door. Oh, look, wow, Open the doors, uncouple the rear unit, only single units can proceed to Lindau. So we need to basically detach the rear set so that we can proceed on into Lindau. Speed up a touch. Shoot my horn at people as we go past. Should we activate Roadrunner? Okay, let's do that. I just love the meet sound. It's just the best sound in the world. Just a Looney Tunes fan, I think. Love it. It's just that kind of noise that just never fails to put a smile on your face. Right, how far are we now? Where are you? Over there. 7K's, fine. Let's have a quick look outside at the scenery. Very nice. Distant hills look a little bit plain, but I guess we're going to have to wait for the Unreal Engine for something on that score. Also, the lighting feels kind of bright. It's really weird. The sky is super weird. I don't know. Everywhere feels a bit bright to me. Alright, so far so good. Let's maybe bump the speed up another notch. 1806. Oh, blimey, look at that. Arrive 1806. We're only just on the time limit right now. 5Ks and we're going downhill. I'll have to deactivate AFP shortly. Remember that Shift A for the AFP system. I've noticed that frame rates are not fantastic. I don't know if it's the scenario or the train or both, but the most FPS I'm getting currently is 30. There are sections where I'm down to like 15 to 20 FPS, which is, you know, that's flight sim territory, that is. I'm sure there's a lot of onboard system calculation going on, but I don't know. I just dream of a train sim with 60 FPS. I really do. Let's knock that speed down to 115 now. Notice as the energy is reclaimed, this is energy coming back. As deceleration is applied, this is a very common thing on these electric locos these days. The modern loco can reclaim energy under braking. There we go, and then as it gets to speed, it releases the braking. So we enter 120 at a speed of 110. That platform is so bright, what the heck? Maybe I have to bring the brightness level down on the game. Seems a bit too much. Right, I'm gonna Shift A. Throttle it down to 0 now and just cruise to victory. The momentum of this train is like, you know, I mean, you can see that the speed's just not coming down at all, and we're over a K outside. But I'd rather disengage AFB for this bit than rely on it slowing me down. As one of those Deutsche Bahn trains, I've seen those quite a bit, obviously crossing the border into Austria. Okay, let's start killing some of that momentum. Should probably have blown the whistle as I crossed over that level crossing, but at the moment there's so much to concentrate on. Oh god. I think I've just activated the PZB. Dang it. There you go, PZB's just squished me. Okay, let's acknowledge that. I'm not sure which key it is. There we go. Engage the reverser. Disengage the brakes. Get going again. So that's, you know, the PZB has been tripped there. Either something I did, or possibly a limitation of the host. What I'm going to do is I'm going to disengage PZB just to stop that happening. I'd need to look back at the video to see what I did then. Possibly it was my mistake. What does Roadrunner think? Never mind. We're in late. It's not career mode. It's not the end of the world. So we need to detach the system at this point. Just waiting for Roadrunner. Come on, Roadrunner! Tell me where I am! Is it really this long? Blimey. Look at that. How is this train so long? There we go. I was beginning to get worried then. Blimey. Okay. Throttle in lock position. Let's open the doors. It wants us to disconnect. Oh my god, I need to get the right part of this thing, don't I? Okay, that looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That one. Is that the right one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go, that's broken it. Scheduled departure is 18:08. Now, in theory, because we're about to... Let me just lock that. Because we're about to enter Germany. 8, 6. We should be switching to Deutsche Bahn. Press E. And then bring it to 0. That should reactivate it for Germany. Release the brakes. We're ready to go, I think. Green and a yellow signal. Shift A. Let's bring that down to track speed, about 50. Give it a bit more juice. It's such a weird noise, that doo 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 doo. It sounds like what's that Spielberg film? That one goes doo 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 doo. That one. The aliens. Kind of reminds me of that. Oh god, I'm speeding. Speeding. I thought that said 60 and now it's 40. My bad. I think I put it on the wrong setting. Yeah, I think... I think I wasn't paying enough attention and put it on the wrong setting. Okay, pick up passengers. Where's the passengers? From... Not here. Let's get rid of that. Lindau track 2. Did we just pass Lindau track 2? Hang on. Sensor player. No, Lindau track 2 is a long way away. That's fine. Thought for some horrible moment I'd gone way past it. Okay. So, knowing how to operate the train, and then completing a scenario in this train are two different things. We've done this scenario before, if you remember, in my 3-country corner. But you can see, because I'm, you know, just... I've read the manual, I've learnt this train, I've explained it all to you, but sitting in here and using it is still quite a challenge, you know? There's a lot to think about. PZB already caught me out, either because of a system limitation or something I did wrong. Oh, look at that. Wow. I would love to drive this route in real life. Because that is gorgeous view. But yeah, you make mistakes on this because, you know, it is complicated to learn. And it does take a few attempts to get it right. There's no doubt about that. Why did it sound like the engine shut down then? The heck was that noise? Did you hear that? It suddenly went... I thought the engine is shut down. I think it's okay. Austrian-German border. Oh god, I think I just didn't acknowledge Sifa. And we've gone into Mercy Break! Yay! Well, this is going well. Schoolboy errors. I was talking over the top of Sifa, so I didn't hear it. Let me help you stop quicker. Let's get going. I think that was a Sifa thing. I don't know why they just suddenly slowed me down. Interesting. I've not driven this train on this particular scenario before, so I'm beginning to think that there's some little quirks that I'm not aware of yet. It's either that or a Sifa safety thing tripped. Leave the lights on. It's bright enough, but we'll leave the lights on. So, as you can see, it is pretty challenging. This train is quite detailed. Probably one of the more detailed trains in the available in Train Simulator, I would say. They've had to build their own scripting engine. The developers, you know, worked with the people who make the Railjets to make sure this is authentic. But as ever, they've always got to work with the limitations of Train Simulator. And as we know, Train Simulator's been around a while. It has its limitations. One would hope that the next version of Train Simulator allows developers to build even better trains, I would say. You know, even more complicated, more scriptable trains. But the main thing I'm looking forward to with the next version of Train Sim is just, because they're going to use it Unreal Engine, just getting the frame rates. That's the key to this. It's like whenever you've got one of these trains and the scripting's there and the scenery gets dense, with a flight sim you get to control the scenery levels. You know, you can adjust them, you can bring the scenery levels down, the vegetation levels down, all this kind of thing. With this, there are very few controls over the graphics of it, and you can end up with really bad frame rates. And out of everything, I think that's the most disappointing thing with Train Sim, is the frame rate. At times it just becomes shockingly bad, and I've got a pretty high-end system, so I can't imagine what it's like on a low-end system. Let's have a look at the scenery. Look at that. Oh, it's lovely. Lindau, of course, is a pocket chocolate village. You know, pocket chocolate village it is. Scenic, picturesque, beautiful, and the people who live here around this lake, they live in an amazing place. They really do. They're very fortunate. Okay, so we're in Germany. Setting that to DB wouldn't matter so much because I've got PZB disabled now. Just in case it was that. Again, I'm not sure what hit that emergency brake, but I know when you read the manual, there are a couple of things where it says, oh, as you're approaching, you know, this city, disengage PZB because it can trick the train into braking. Again, limitations of the engine, but maybe it was just schoolboy error. Probably was. Let's bring that down to 85. Lindau is ahead. Which is good. So apart from, well, we're going to be late, aren't we? What time we're supposed to be there? Supposed to be there 18:17. Oh, actually, I'm on time, bizarrely enough. There must have been some slack in the system. It could have been that I tell you what it was back there. I reckon I didn't acknowledge the PZB. I reckon that's what happened. That's the PZB though when I press page down. I reckon I didn't. I reckon we had a speed change and I didn't press page down and that tripped the PZB. I reckon that was a driver error. Thinking about it a bit more now. So yeah, you'll have to forgive me for that one. I think that was my mistake. The second one though, where it slowed down, I think that might have been FIFA. Keep trying to call it FIFA. Could have been a FIFA error. Didn't kick the football. Yeah, I think it was a FIFA problem. Alright, incoming Lindau track 2. Very nice. Okay, got a 30 limit ahead. Need to watch out for that. Look at that. You see all this lighting here? It's so weird. Look at that pavement. The street lighting's just like super bright. So we had a double unit, we released the other unit at Brigands and continued on, and it's still quite a long train even without that. Welcome to Lindau. I'd like to go to Lindau one day. I'd like to go to Lindau and just take this this journey. It'd be awesome. Lindau to Vienna. It's a gorgeous journey by the look of it. Definitely needs to be on my bucket list. Speed down to 30, that's the 3 there. So in Germany, that's what they do. They miss the 0 off the end, they just put 3 for 30. I'm not really sure why, if I'm honest. But that's what they do. So I couldn't help. I had to activate Roadrunner just one last time. It might not beep because I did it a bit late. I'm sure you remember this. Been to this station in previous videos. Right. At this point we're gonna throttle to 0, disengage the AFB. And we'll just cruise in manually. Yay, Roadrunner! Okay, okay. I'm not dead yet, don't worry. I think anywhere here would be fine. Alrighty then. Let's open the doors. Welcome to Lindau. Nice. I was actually on time, I think. Maybe a minute late. But in terms of the scenario, we did it. I think we'll... the end of report will tell us whether we activated the emergency or not. I think I did. But I think that was a PZB acknowledgement. I wonder if it'll tell us about the CIFA stuff. I don't know if it reports that as an emergency brake. I would think it would do. You did not complete the scenario successfully. Bad luck. Apparently, I did something wrong. It's not going to tell me what I did wrong, but apparently I did something wrong. Oh, it is going to tell me. Here we go. Targets complete, 2 out of 4. You stopped at 0 of 0 stations? That's not true. Added remove 1 out of rail vehicles, picked up passengers at 1 of 3 platforms. So for some reason it thinks I didn't stop at 2 of those platforms. I know for a fact I did. Signal passed at danger, there you go, that was it. Improper use of horn, lol. Speeding twice, that was only a brief thing. Signal passed at danger, that was the thing that tripped the PZB. So basically I must have passed a red light or a yellow light or something. I wasn't paying attention to the signal. So that was definitely my bad. But this is nonsense. But yeah, that was the, as you can see over here, if I just quickly show you. When you buy this train, you get Munich to Augsburg, 3 country corner, integrated scenarios. I don't have the other one, the Munich to Rosenheim. I don't have that, but if I did, it would add an extra scenario here. But they're optional things that you have to buy. So, apart from my cock-ups and the train simulator cock-ups, I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. It is a complex train. Don't even think about trying it unless you're prepared to read the manual. But that's it for this train sim video. Take care. Happy driving.